The first thing we should talk about before we actually begin the meditation is posture. How do we sit when it's time to meditate? First, we'll start by discussing sitting on a cushion, low to the floor. Then we'll talk about sitting in a regular chair. And that'll probably be the best option for most users of this program, because in this day and age, most of us spend a lot of our waking day sitting in a chair, and sitting on the floor may be too difficult. But for those of you who are interested in sitting on a cushion, there are a few important points to keep in mind. One is, I'm just going to draw a contrast here. You might see pictures of people sitting cross-legged or even in lotus position where their legs are crossed this way. And what you'll notice, especially if you look at models sitting this way in like yoga magazines or for ads for yoga cushions, they're sitting down on the floor, but you'll notice their knees are up like this. If their knees are several inches off the floor, one thing is clear is that their body is not actually trained or prepared to sit flat on the floor, because the psoas muscle, it's a lumbar muscle that connects to the lower spine, moves down and connects to the inside of your femur, your thigh bone, and it helps you turn your leg this way or lift your leg up. If it's too tight, that's why their knees in those photographs are several inches off the floor. And that will pull on the lower back, causing a lot of lower back pain. So the solution for people who want to sit cross-legged is you don't want your knees floating up in space. You want a cushion tall enough so that your knee is actually resting and it's supported. And when you do that, it releases the pull on the psoas muscle on either side of the lumbar spine. And this is what I use myself. When I'm sitting on a cushion, I use these smaller cushions to support my knees so that they feel like they're resting on something, not hanging in the air, being pulled by the psoas muscle. You don't need fancy cushions like these. You can just roll up some blankets or towels, or get some extra pillows from your sofa or your bed and put them up here so that your knees feel that support. I don't sit flat on the floor. Sometimes I do, but mostly I don't. I use a cushion like this. But again, it doesn't have to be this particular shape for you. It can be several cushions from your couch, or you could go to a meditation store or a yoga store and sit on different types of cushions to see what feels best for you. One of the most important aspects of a cushion is that it is either short enough for you or tall enough for you. This one, which I would say is about 5 or 6 inches thick at the thickest part, is the right height for me to feel comfortable so that my knees are supported. I'm just high enough off the ground where I naturally feel upright. My spine can preserve its natural curvature. I feel supported, and I'm not fighting with my back muscles to sit upright. If you're a taller person, you will need a taller cushion. I see sometimes tall people sitting on very short cushions and they're struggling. They're often slouching a lot. They're just uncomfortable. It's because they might need to stack 2 or even 3 cushions so that the balance between how their feet are supporting them, or the legs and the back, is more balanced. So the taller you are, consider having more cushions stacked on each other, or just a fatter cushion to sit on. You'll need to experiment, no matter if you're tall or short or somewhere in between. You should experiment over several days with different heights of cushion to see which one lets you feel like you naturally found your good fit. Something that naturally supports you, and you can feel like you can sit upright without fighting gravity. And again, something that supports your knees. Pillows, towels rolled up, doesn't matter. You'll notice that all of this is on top of this pad here. Some people call it a zabuton. That's spelled with a Z, zabuton. You can Google that, but this isn't necessary either. You could just use a pad, a yoga mat, or a towel. The real purpose of it is to have something soft underneath your ankles when you're crossing your legs, because if they're just sitting directly on a hard floor, that'll cause some pain to your ankles. And pain really is a challenge in meditation. If you are struggling physically, if you're hurting, if you're sore, if you're getting tired, all of that will distract you from actually engaging the meditation practice. So really the main purpose of your meditation posture, the external posture, how you sit with your body, is to avoid pain, so you can sit for long periods of time without hurting and stay awake. One aspect about sitting in a cushion like this is there's nothing for me to lean back on. That's why it's really important for you to find the correct cushion height so that you preserve the natural curvature of your spine and you're perpendicular to the ground. And so gravity, instead of pulling you over like this, it's a force that's moving up from your pelvis, up your spine, and supporting you sitting upright. And that can occur when you found just the right position and size of cushions to support you. Then gravity becomes your friend and you can sit upright without slouching for long periods of time and without exerting too much effort in your lower or mid-back muscles. Another aspect of sitting on a cushion is where you position your hands. It doesn't really matter, but what you want is put your hands somewhere where your shoulders are not rolled forward. Because if this is happening with your shoulders, eventually your head will droop and your back will slouch and you'll either fall asleep or develop some back soreness. You want your hands in a position so that your shoulders are back in a neutral spot. And that way they're pulling on your spine directly downward so that gravity supports upward. So again, we don't want our shoulders rolling forward. We want them in a place where they're neutral, and that helps us sit upright. In terms of how you cross your legs, again, the most important thing is for you to be comfortable. Is there any particular benefit to sitting in lotus posture, where both of your legs are being supported on the inner thigh? With this practice that you're learning here, it's not necessary. I know there are reasons in some yogic traditions to do that, but don't worry about it if you can't do it here. I don't do it. It's not detrimental if you can't sit in the lotus posture. You could sit in a standard cross-legged posture, or you could have one leg folded in front of the other. You'll want to switch once in a while because whichever leg is in front, that will have a slight pull on your pelvis, and over months and years, you don't want to develop a total tendency to lean one way or the other. So every other meditation practice, you would switch which leg is in front. Or during a practice, it's okay to switch your legs if you're encountering pain or discomfort, of course.